Let me introduce you to Joe, which is an LBS alum. He graduated from the MBA some years ago, and he is now managing partner and founder of Isomer Capital. But again, he didn't start there, so maybe Joe, let us hear your story into Isomer, and also a little bit about Isomer from its founding till now, because it has changed. How many funds have you raised and your investment strategy?
Well, it's more than 20 years since I sat in this room, so it's really nice to be here. I started LBS in 2001, 25 years ago. I don't feel old normally, but I feel old when I say that out loud. LBS changed my life. It converted an electrical engineering student, operations kind of a guy, into more of a business-focused guy, so I'm forever grateful to LBS. So I worked on some startups, and I co-founded something in the early 2000s after LBS. All failed. I learned a lot the hard way. There wasn't a lot of venture in Europe at that time. I was also a tech fanatic and wanted to be in venture. There wasn't a lot that you could do in Europe, so I worked for Cambridge Associates, a big private markets consulting firm. I worked at a secondary fund called Isomer Capital, more on the private equity side, but did a good component of tech. And I kind of saw around the financial crisis period that tech in Europe was taking off. However, there wasn't an institutional way for large investors to access that. So really cool opportunity on the one hand, founders were building super cool startups. But on the other hand, if you were a large institution or even a family office or whatever, unless you had a team that could run around Europe and find these exciting opportunities. UiPath came from Romania, right? I mean, amazing outcome for multiple people sitting here. But I don't know how often you go to Romania looking for tech, but I don't go there very often. So how do you find that, right? So the idea behind Isomer was you don't know where great tech is coming from. It's not all about London. It's also about the Nordics. It's also about Eastern Europe. And so I thought to myself, well, who is the smart money early in these companies? Well, it tends to be a local seed fund. So if it's in Eastern Europe, it tends to be there were 3 funds, with one exception, that wasn't based in Eastern Europe, that invested in UiPath, and the same with Spotify. So I thought, what if I could partner with those groups, have some money with them, try to help them, and then get opportunity that comes out of that. And that was the foundation of Isomer Capital. We're just launching our 4th flagship fund. It does 3 things. It invests in a basket of seed funds. It then co-invests into companies with them. So as companies start to grow and they need more capital. And then the 3rd thing it does is it buys secondary pieces of both. LPs need liquidity. They don't want to wait 15 years to get their cash back. So we can buy pieces from them. So far we've committed to 100 funds on a primary basis. I think 101 will close next week or so. We've done about 78, if I get it right, co-investments and secondaries. We got unicorn number 58 this week. So far, so pretty good so far. And if that doesn't sound amazing, when we started Isomer, there were 20 unicorns in all of Europe. Right? So I was like this crazy man running around Europe going, you got to trust me, the entrepreneurs are really cool and they're going to build cool stuff. It's going to be great. It was all like future, And so now we've got 58 and they span every sector. It's not only fintech, it's not only industrials and so on. Number 58 this week is a UK company in chips. Semiconductors are back. 25 years ago, VC was heavy semiconductor. Everybody thinks the trend is new, nothing is new. And so semiconductors are back. To the 2 newest unicorns in the UK are both semiconductor plays, Olix and Fractile. And so that's, the world keeps turning. And anyway, that's kind of...
Joe, maybe I'm going to ask you a question. When you were pitching your first fund, how did you convince people or LPs to give you money? Who were those LPs?
I talked to anyone who would listen, is the quick answer. Well, so I worked at a bigger firm, and my job was flying around Europe talking to everybody. Who was investing, who was owning things, who was selling things. And that was a nice platform to spot the opportunity. So nights and weekends, family holidays, I built my own database. which my wife thought I was a complete nut. She's almost on board now with the whole thing. But she's like, why are you staying up so late, at the beach, 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm doing my thing. But my feeling was I had to produce a compelling proposition because no one would give me money if I didn't have a pretty bulletproof market to look at, a strategy to go after that market, and some kind of a team. So in the beginning, it was just me, but pretty early on, I had some co-founders, which was a funny story because, my partner Chris, who's pretty famous in the market these days, I said, I'd love you to join. I can't pay you, so I have no money, but I think we can do something cool. And so that turned into a wonderful partnership, and now it's a group. About what do we have? About 10 full-timers and 6 part-timers. But so my test for myself, which I think is a fair test still for funds and companies, I said, what I'll run around the market, I'll build a proposition, slideware, database, a little bit of a data room, and I'll try to get an anchor investor. So someone who could give me some risk capital to test the idea, right? And if I fail to achieve that, some investor with conviction, then that's the market talking, and I should not do it, And that took me about 2 years. And that, it's kind of sad to say that, but fanatical running around and just networking. And after 2 years, I found a family office who said, we were thinking about doing venture. We don't know quite what to do. Can we partner with you? And that was my first money. And I used that to then attract others, build a portfolio and so on. So the first fund was 110 million, which was, at the time was a lot. One of my friends, an old VC in the market, he said to me, this is crazy, but I support you, but I help you. But he said, if you raise 100 million for European venture, I will bow to you every time we meet. So technically speaking, I can extract a bow from him still to this day. I haven't done that lately, but it's time, I think.
And maybe once you reach unicorn number 60, your wife, maybe she will say that this makes sense.
I tell you, I mean,
two more to go.
Anybody who founds anything, get your partner involved. So I always invited my wife to the annual meeting for the firm, and she's not a venture person, but I think her seeing that grow, because if you're a founder of anything, you spend your nights and your weekends, and so that's a top tip. Make sure your partner has full visibility and is somehow involved.